I primarily deal in the futures market, and I'd like to talk a little bit today about indicators. I've heard something about that in the last couple of presentations. And then I'll talk about the trade types that I look at, similar to like we saw in the previous thing. I'll show you a couple of my charts. If you have time, I'll look at some of the live charts that I have. And then I talk about probability a lot, because I think that's one of the keys to trading. It's great to have a great system, but it's really good to know how it's working. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll start out talking about indicators, look at trade types. And I have two different trade types that I do. Look at the charts for each of them, and some probability. Okay. And as always, when we first start out a presentation, we always have to give you the disclaimer that there are some risks involved in trading. Oh, I guess I should ask, can you guys hear me okay? I should ask first, can you guys hear me okay? Thanks, Cameron. I appreciate it. And I'm sure it hasn't happened to you, but I've heard that some people actually lose money in trading. So you have to be very, very careful with what you're doing with any methodology, with mine or any others. And this is just a little bit about myself first. Yeah, I started trading in the late 1970s. That's when I first started buying stock. I have an engineering degree, and I moved quickly from engineering into the market, and I worked as a retail broker for Dean Witter. And then I left the brokerage industry because I started doing some other business activities that took up my time through most of the 90s. And then I got back involved, and I was always involved in the market. I was always watching it. And then I became attracted to day trading and trading the E-mini in 2005. And I liked it because of the leverage that it had. So from there, I went on trying to find the Holy Grail, as probably all of you have done. Trying to find what indicators and trading concepts, and spent a lot of time looking at a lot of different things. Those were the old days, John. Those were the old days. I eventually got involved with market profile, auction market theory and market profile, and I liked it. And as one of the previous speakers, I read Stettlemeyer's book, I read Dalton's book, and I spent a lot of time learning about value areas and different trade types and everything. And I thought it was pretty good. The one problem I had with it was that I listened to Dalton one time, and he talked a lot about the initial balance and what goes on in the initial balance, and then you try to make an educated guess as to what the market's going to do. And that kind of bothered me a little bit, to make an educated guess. So I started looking at other things, and I settled on mostly support and resistance. And right now, with the methodology that I use, it's very simple, and I can look at a lot of markets at the same time. And you'll see that as we go through the presentation. And I'll just say, when I first started trading, this was my aspiration. This is what I wanted to become when I became a good trader. I wanted to have a setup like this, where I could look at all these different charts, all these different monitors. That's when I would have felt that I really would have made it, with all these indicators and everything like this on it. And then if I had all this stuff, and I could understand all of this stuff, then I would be really quite an impressive trader. To break it down, and I use this slide over and over again, on an individual chart, then it looks something like this. We have all sorts of indicators going at the same time. Yes, and you're trying to make, see which ones are telling you to go long, which ones are telling you to go short, and it becomes very, very confusing. And that's it. I kept in my trading adding indicators as I went along, as I think probably a lot of us have probably done, and it just, I always thought that the next one was going to make a difference. The next one was going to make a difference. And I never found that to be the case. I never really found that. So that's when I got around to market profile, I started doing a lot more with that. But then there were things with that where you had to do things like come up with composites, like and yesterday's value area. Well, today it turned at the value area, but it's going to turn later on at yesterday's value area high and things like that, and then maybe a monthly composite and all that. There just seemed to be so much information that you had to gather to make a trade, and you would get a lot of conflicting information that it was very, very difficult, at least for me, to be able to do that. So that's when I started looking at support and resistance, and I thought there had to be an easier way. So what we really look at now is, in our methodology, we look for a clear entry. And if you spend time in my trading room, you'll see this entry is very clear, and I'll show you on a chart a little bit. It's 100% objective. I don't want something that moves. What the entry is at 9 o'clock, it'll be at 9:15, unless it's hit at 9:30 or whatever, it'll stay. And it's 100% objective. You don't have to, guess, is the moving average going to continue moving down? Or is the stochastic going to keep going up? It's all, it's all it has to be objective. And also, I like plenty of time to enter the trade. And you can see that. So I've tried to keep it real simple, and I've tried to concentrate on just one chart. And if you take a look, and I developed some software for it, and I like support and resistance. And this is the chart of the Canadian dollar this morning, and I have it on New York time. And you can take a look at it, where I plot support levels. And somebody told me when I made this up, I didn't think about it, but you buy the blue and you sell the red. But we had a support level here early this morning. This is New York time. The market went up above it, came back down. It took a couple ticks of heat here, and then shot up. We developed the resistance level up here, and it came down, and because it came down and it kept on going, the trade went away. And then again, we developed another support level here, and the market jumps out of the, goes above the support level, comes back down to it. In this case, we don't take any heat at all. It comes right exactly to the price. And this is what I plot all day long. This is what the software plots all day long. Somebody else was talking about the time frame. It works on any time frame. Primarily, I use a 5-minute chart for what I do. I do use a 10-range chart for crude oil, though, for support and resistance. So it can work. Markets are fractal. It can work on any time frame. But I pretty much use a 5-minute chart for most of what I do. I kind of like the 5-minute chart because, like I said, it gives you time to make the entries. If you take a look, you find out about an entry someplace in here. You've got 15 minutes, and you can see it doesn't change. It stays right at this level. And like I said, with market profile, if you're going to, in a case where you might be buying the value area low, the value area low might be moving up and down or whatever. So it changes over time. But here it's a fixed number. You wait for it to come back to it. It's either going to come back to it or not. If it doesn't come back to it, then you don't have a trade, and the level will be there tomorrow or the next day or whenever. If it does come back to it, you're in a position to take it. So basically, that's what I look at through the course of the day. I primarily look at support and resistance. What's happened, though, a lot is that I've also noticed that the markets, they don't always trade in a range. They trade in a range most of the time. Dalton talks about 75% of the time. So they do bounce back and forth like this. But the rest of the time, the market can be in a trend, and then support and resistance becomes a little bit more difficult. So when that's the case, I developed what I call a continuation trade. And this is from a couple days ago, a couple of them that I took. And I plotted the high and the low for the session. And this is before we changed to the new contract on crude oil. I like crude oil because of the smaller The spreads are close. There's not a lot of as much activity as on the ES. That you can get filled at your price quite a bit at the time. So, you know, and a continuation is you got this market moving up like this. It comes back and retraces some. You get in here, and you make your first target, and you get stopped out, you know, at break even on the second. And that's, you know, so, you know, you can trade when you're at a top. You know, I didn't have an opportunity to do that before. Sometimes you think it's difficult to do, but you can trade, you know, when the market's going to the top, or you can trade when it's going to the bottom. And then it comes back down again. You get the similar type setup where we get a continuation where we enter here. This is a little bit of a tough one. You know, it didn't move up quite as quickly. We took some heat on it for a while, but then eventually we got our first contract filled, and I usually go for 10 ticks. I guess I got 11 on this one, and then I moved my second contract up. Basically, I trade with 2 contracts. Usually try on this, I try for 10 and 20, but I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. I tried to explain that, Warren, that the main reason I trade one time frame is I like to look at things consistently over and over again, and I feel I have enough time you know, to place orders on the 5-minute time frame. But it's a good question. And I appreciate all the questions. And this is what I do. So explain the question again, Warren, and I'll try my best. And the main reason I do it, like I said, is because I want to consistently concentrate on one time frame, you know, so that I see the same thing over and over again, and that's my main reason for doing it. And a lot what I do, I use the Ninja Chart Trader on every. Ken, Chuck or Morgan will have to help you with that. I use the Ninja Chart Trader, and I mark all my trades. You know, you see all my entries ahead of time, and I mark all my trades, and I mark where I entered, where my exits are. You can see a lot that I do. I get my price, you know, and then I go up, and I usually get stopped out on the second one, or if I can catch it on the way down. And that's what I try to do. And this is where I said, like, this is what gave me the confidence that's kind of right. You got to hope that if you've been watching something long enough, with any kind of basic intelligence, you see things that repeat over and over again. And I heard the last speaker talk about you know, keeping a journal on his trading, and I don't keep a journal as much as I record every single trade that I take. And this is an example of trades I've taken this year on the 5-minute crude oil trade. Okay, where I record every of them. And I did this for a previous webinar, and I just didn't want to repeat the same thing over and over again. But I'll show you a more up-to-date one on the 10 range crude oil. But I record what it does on every single trade that I take. And this is the key to me. This is a real key. You know, whatever your methodology is, to really have an understanding of it. And on every trade, I record the entry price, the time of the entry, and the type of trade. And we talk about that in the room, what type of trade we're doing. And then I determine what I call which entries are valid. And I look more for the ones that don't turn right at my entry price. And then I want to track what the market did from that entry. Not necessarily what I made on the trade, but what the market did. I'm trying to track what the market did on every entry. That's the key thing. You want to see what the market's going to do, and test out your entry. And that became the key thing for me. So like I've got all these things here, and I this is one of the entries that I plotted, but all the entries that I do all along, I record them. I record them on that chart, on that spreadsheet, and then we go from there. And you can see. Just go to the next. So you can see all the way through that I've recorded the specifics of every single entry. So what I have in the case here is I record the entry price, and I know the heat that I've taken on each trade. Okay. My first target is usually 10 ticks, and then I trail with something smaller. Well, I'll show you how I determine my stops and targets. And then what I do, I hope you guys can see this clearly, because this is really the key. On every trade that I take, if it goes through the entry price, I record what it does from there. So on this trade here, you can see we had a support level. I took 1 tick of heat, 2 ticks of heat, 3 ticks of heat, 4 ticks of heat, 5 ticks of heat, and then it turned around and went up 174 ticks. I didn't catch all of it, but that's I'm recording exactly what the market did on every single trade. That's the key. Is to know exactly what it's doing. I can't emphasize that enough. And as I said, you only use entries that trade through the price, and I record the price action of every entry. I do this on a 4-range chart, and I only record successful entries that move through the target, so it has to move through the price, and then I determine the optimum stop and target for each market that I'm trading. So after I've gone that next step, I can put in any stop price, and I can put in what the market does at that stop price. I know what the market does at that stop price. I record every single one of them, I record every single one of them as best I can. And you can see, if you've got a 16 tick, if you've had an 18 tick stop, 16 tick target, what the market did on each individual trade, what the P&L was, what the ongoing P&L was, and what the win percentage was on all of them. It is, Warren, but like it gives you so much insight, and that's what I do. I get the overview of what's working, and so, and then this is the final thing. This is what it looks like at the end. Okay, where I know, like here with a 25 tick stop, I know what the optimum target is. And the optimum target in this case is like right here, like it said, 22 ticks, I think. Yeah, it's 22 ticks, and with a 25 tick stop, and that's what you should be looking for. Oh, I do, and I know my win percentage on every single one, and those are the two things. If you look at your win percentage, you can be 70% profitable. And in this case here, you can be less profitable, but you can make more money. Well, I don't know that it's precise necessarily, but it's over time. It's over 255 trades this year that I have this information. I started at the beginning of the year, and it's through December. And there are, there are some things. Yesterday's trade is history. That's correct. But over time, you come out with what the market tends to do most of the time. And this is basically what I do. You know, and I present this in a live trading room. I open at 8:45 Eastern Time, and I just go to 11:45. It's tough to go all day. I know my win percentage, and I think the thing that that I feel is, you know, when I get two losers in a row, and I'm ready to look for a new indicator. If I get three losers in a row, and I'm ready to look for a new, you know, indicator. It depends on the market that I'm trading, Warren. I look for the optimum target, and then it's not the same on each market. I imagine that you're probably good, Steve. I don't know enough about them, though. You know, I really don't know enough about them. On some trades, I'm about 55%, 55 to 65%. It depends on the market, like I said. And because of the fact, I use the Ninja Chart Trader in the room all the time. You're welcome to come in. I'm going to offer a free trial at the end. And you know, you're welcome to come in, and you can see. I plot the thing ahead of time. You see it. You know, the market hits. We talk about it. We watch it. We try to be patient and hold on. And somebody was talking in the previous one about, you know, how many trades you take. You know, usually for me, it's 4 to 10 a day, but this week it's been real slow. It's been 2 to 3 trades a day, and it all depends on the day. And somebody also talked about, you know, profitability and daily. I honestly have to say that I'm not profitable every day, but I'm profitable just about every week. And yeah, there's two things, Warren, that you're concerned about. Okay. There's two things that you're concerned about. You know, what your expectancy is, and what your risk-reward ratio is. So depending on one, you know, you have to have them both. You know, it's not just that you're 90% successful. You know, when you're going for, like we talked about before in a previous one tick with a 20 tick stop, 5% successful. You know, when you're going for 22 ticks with a 17 tick stop, you know, you're going to be okay. Oh no, it's not quite that much. You know, closer to 20. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. But come and see for yourself. And that's it. You know, I say my stops and profit targets are clearly stated. And this is my chart for today. This is what I was looking at today. And you can see that Canadian dollar trade here. Was here, and I have the Russell over here. I look at the Russell. This is that 10 range crude oil that I look at. And you can see where it posts a support and resistance level. It posts that clearly on the chart. And on gold, you have support and resistance level 2. That's right. You know, at 20% is the return. I was, you know, the win ratio was closer to 55%. I have a lot though. You with the people is I have some trades that are. I had one that was like a 34% win ratio, and that's tough. You know, that you're only right. You know, 33% of the time. That's tough for people. You know, because you can get 4 or 5 losers in a row, but then your winner is usually, you know, a very good one. I'm better than that. That's right. People can't accept that. Especially people that come into rooms. So we try to go with a little bit higher, but we try to show those charts and tell people to keep the faith. And then we teach our methodology. We don't just have the room. We teach our methodology. And I'll offer a special today. Half price for the methodology for those of you that want to learn it today. And with the methodology, it works on NinjaTrader. You get 2 free months in our signals room, and you can get confidence by watching others. And we have a training manual for you to review. So it's be half price. And then and we have the software, which is like I showed on that chart. And with the software, there's 2 versions. There's a version for those who have learned the methodology, and there's another version that just points out the support and resistance levels. And the reason I have 2 versions is, for people that have learned it and not learned it. And the reason I have the software is you may want to trade other markets than me. You may be in a different part of the world than me. And that way you can see the support and resistance levels on those markets. That continuation trade, we're in the process of programming that right now. And so here, if you're interested, I'm going to offer a 5-day. I offer a 5-day free trial in our room. Like I said, if you sign up today, it'd be half price. Everything would be half price. If you join the room and demo the software, you can stay 2 months for the price of 1, and I'll demonstrate the potential. You'll see these charts that I show, and you'll see the listening to other people, that the time seems to drag, but this 30 minutes went by very quickly. Does anybody else have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? I found that it's very difficult to trade all day. That's why and the amount of stress. One of the things that I found from people is that I've done a lot. I'm thinking about psychology, and I think about it like as an athlete. Sure, Greg, that would be fine. That would be fine. Shoot me an email here, giles@futuresandforexdaytrading.com, and I'll send you the information on the room. It'll be a little sketchy trading this week and next week anyway. I'll actually send you. I'll post my email in the chat. You can also reach me on Skype. My Skype is MCT Giles. I'll put that in there. With it being a little slow in the market, now is a great time to take the time to learn the methodology. So like I said, I'll offer half price to anybody who wants to come in today.